Hey everybody, I'm CamsBrain, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another episode of My Humble Opinion. Today, as always, we're going to be covering the 48 Laws of Power, a book by Robert Greene. If you guys are not familiar with Robert Greene, he has a lot of self-help books. And the one that we are taking a deep dive in this whole month, if not for the next month, maybe a few months, because there's 48 laws of power. We will be talking about the 10th law of power. Now, the 10th law of power is avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. This law states, being around unhappy and unlucky people can negatively affect your power and reputation. To maintain your power, it's important to surround yourself with positive and successful people. So yeah, I kind of always start these podcasts off by saying that the 48 Laws of Power somewhat is a manipulative book. And for the most part, I think that's a fair statement. Now, I still think that that is okay. Why? Because life isn't pretty. When you live in this world, you're going to figure out that a lot of people will try to take advantage of you. If they have an opportunity to do so, they actually will. So, knowing how to deal with those type of people is a very important thing. And this book is something that helps you be able to navigate just that. Now, specifically, this parable or sentence in itself, this law of power, if you will, is a very important law of power. I think that I don't think it's necessarily manipulative. The reality of the situation is the more you are around someone, the more you are going to take on their characteristics. So it's very important to choose the company that you keep. My auntie used to say that to me all the time. She used to say, if you keep taking rides with the devil, one day he's going to take the wheel. And my father used to say, if you hang around with 3 broke people, you're going to be the 4th broke person. I think all these sayings tie in to this actual law of power, avoiding the unhappy and the unlucky. Sometimes, and as you guys always know, I turn this into a spiritual situation, a financial situation if you're a business owner, and also into a personal situation if you have relationships with friends, family, a significant other, so on and so forth. The energy that your spouse or your friend gives you is very important. Some people are what you call empaths, where if you're having a bad day, your personality, your attitude, or their personality, their attitude will kind of attach itself to either of you, right? So you have to make sure that you're around people that are matching your positive energy if you're wanting to be a positive person. In a relationship, you have some people that will figure out, hey, look, if I can upset this person, that's going to allow their personalities to change. So you have to be very careful, again, like I said, and be mindful of people trying to change your attitude, to change your energy, to react and respond in the way in which they want you to. So, and it's the same thing in business for me. If I'm going to put myself in a position where I have to deal with somebody, I have to make sure that person matches my energy, matches my hustle, matches what I want to do as it relates to how I want to take my business, how I want to use my money, save my money, so on and so forth. I don't want to have a business partner that's an unhappy person, that's a negative person, because that is going to allow itself to attach to me. No matter how much you guard yourself, right, you still have to be very aware of what you're allowing your surroundings to be, spiritually, mentally, physically, so on and so forth. So it's a big situation when you look at this. It's a very small law of power, but it's a very important law of power. You want to be able to avoid these things. And here's the thing. If you can't avoid it, you have to be very aware of what you're putting yourself up against, and you have to be able to battle whatever the unhappiness is with a person, with a business, with a significant other, and you have to make sure that you're able to dominate that situation in a positive way so that you can get a positive outcome. If I have to think about a situation where I had to avoid the unhappy or the unlucky, it's probably when I was younger. just realizing that there were certain friends and certain areas that I did not need to be around, because even if I was a good person, I was guilty by association if I was around somebody that was doing something that they weren't supposed to do. I remember when I was living in Atlanta, I was in a suburb, well, not really a suburb. I guess back then it was a suburb called Stone Mountain. And I had a friend of mine, you know, he loved the area that we were living in. He grew up there. I was okay with where I was at because of my situation, but I knew that I had to continue to press on and move on to do something a little bit better with my life. What I realized was the more successful I became, the more unhappy he was with my growth. Now, there was a situation where there was a turning point in me and my wife's decision to get out of where we were at after we were almost robbed. A guy came into or tried to come into our apartment after I had made a purchase, after I made a sale. At the time, I was working out of my apartment. And right after I got through dealing with the customer, I'm pretty sure the guy that was coming to the apartment to try to rob me basically realized I may have made some money. Now, he tried to enter the apartment complex through my daughter's window. And when that situation happened, that was kind of like a point where I realized, okay, I have to figure out how to avoid this, because I'm becoming unlucky. Even though I'm successful, I'm becoming unlucky in the situation that I am in. So I have to make a sound decision to get out of that. So at that point, me and my wife decided, okay, we got to get out of here. We have to put ourselves in a better environment, a better position, and we don't want this to be the norm for our daughter. Now, in that situation, it ended up that I had to move from where I was at, which meant that I had to get rid of some friends. And the friend that was very vital or important at the time was the gentleman that I was talking about as it relates to, he kind of began to be more unhappy the more successful I became. I didn't want to lose that friendship, but at the end of the day, I realized in order for me to grow as an individual, I had to set myself aside from this person because he was not willing to grow the way I was willing to grow. And I had to understand that even though it seemed like the wrong thing to do, it was the right thing to do as it related to myself and to my future. Now, at the end of the day, sometimes you put yourself in a position where you make that decision and then somebody will follow you after they see that you've grown. Now, if somebody doesn't want to follow you after they've seen that you've set a good example and you've grown, then that's on them. I think the bigger part, aside from what this law of power is saying, is being able to communicate to people that you may not want to associate with because they have these characteristics, that you want them to do better and that you are trying to do better. And then if they don't want to follow suit after having that conversation, then you got to do what you have to do. But yeah, I want you guys to leave your opinions down below in the comments. I want you to know what you guys feel about this. Let's get involved. You let me know if you agree with what I'm saying, if you disagree with what I'm saying, if you had similar experiences where you had to say, okay, look, I'm gonna let this person go because they're unhappy or because they're unlucky. It could be something as simple as being at the casino and losing too much money and realizing you can't allow yourself to be around somebody that's going to make you lose money. Or it could be something as serious as what I just expressed with me and my friend. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to get involved. I want you to leave your opinion down below in the comments and make sure that you like and you subscribe. I am at CamsBrain. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of My Humble Opinion. Peace.